Hello and welcome to the Economy Magazine. I'm Benjamin Chong Alfares with the news from the global economy. Coming up today, Poland's central bank and government conspire, an interview with Israeli entrepreneur and businessman Amir Bramley, and innovative clinics broaden access to healthcare for Java's poorest. First, the headlines. South African President Jacob Zuma emphasized the need to boost economic growth in the first major policy speech of his second term. Zuma said on Tuesday he hoped to lift annual growth to 5% by 2019. He also promised to improve social conditions in the mining industry, which has suffered 2 years of crippling strikes. A 5-month strike in the platinum mines is dragging the economy towards recession, prompting rating agency Fitch to put South Africa on a negative outlook. And though Zuma aims to remove impediments to investment, Standard & Poor's on Friday cut its credit rating, which could further spook investors.
The low level of investments is a key constraint to economic growth. We are determined to work with the private sector to remove obstacles to investment. We would like to see the private sector showing as much confidence in the economy as the public sector.
Beijing's National Audit Office said mismanagement at China Investment Corp led to overseas investment losses that could widen. Results of an audit identified 12 bad investments made abroad by the National Fund between 2008 and 2013. Owing to inadequate due diligence and lax post-investment management, 6 of the deals were unprofitable, 4 had unrealized losses, and 2 may lose money. Auditors also found irregularities at Beijing-based CIC's domestic units, including sales and acquisitions worth billions without proper asset appraisals and evaluations. China's finance minister Luo Jiwei found the $575 billion sovereign wealth fund in 2007, serving as its chairman and chief executive officer. General Electric may sell its train signaling business to Alstom to bolster the appeal of its earlier $17 billion bid and counter the Siemens-Mitsubishi offer. Siemens and Mitsubishi's bid on Monday values the French engineering company at $19.3 billion. French President François Hollande had demanded GE help Alstom beef up its train business as a condition for blessing GE's purchase of Alstom. GE plans to propose to Alstom that it choose between a direct purchase and a joint venture, which would allow Alstom to conserve cash for other acquisitions. The Argentine government will offer creditors new bonds to be paid in Argentina rather than the U.S., thereby sidestepping a U.S. court order that it repaid defaulted bonds in full. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld a U.S. judge's order denying Argentina's use of the U.S. financial system until it pays off holders of defaulted bonds who did not accept earlier debt swaps. With only days before a huge debt payment ordered by the court is due, negotiations with the holdout investors are needed to avoid a new default and a further blow to the country's reputation. Standard & Poor's on Tuesday lowered its long-term foreign currency rating on Argentina to CCC- from CCC+.
We can't allow them to stop us from honoring our commitments to creditors. Bondholders who entered into the debt restructuring with the 93% that we are charging and who have accepted the deal, who have charged on time, and who have the bonds in their power. So we will not let them stop us from paying. This is why we are taking steps to pay this debt exchange in Argentina under Argentinian law. We are initiating the steps.
A British Guyana 1-cent magenta postage stamp from 1856 sold for a record $9.5 million at Sotheby's on Tuesday. The unusually high price makes it the most valuable object by weight and size, according to the auction house. The Guyanese stamp is one of the world's first postage stamps and was bought by an anonymous telephone bidder. The previous record auction price for a single stamp was $2.2 million.
It sets a brand new world record for a stamp, obviously, so far above any prior price for a stamp. It's going to be a hard one to beat, and probably won't be beaten until this stamp comes up for sale yet again in the future.
Crawling out of the Great Recession has required closer cooperation between central banks and governments. But when that cooperation comes with unusual demands, as was the case in Poland, it could be a reason for concern. Daniel Roth has more in the following report.
In Poland, a secret conversation dating back to July 2013 came to light this week. In it, the governor of the central bank, Marek Belka, proposed to the Polish Minister of Interior, Bartłomiej Sienkiewicz, to support the government's fiscal policy with a catch. The finance minister, Jacek Rostowski, would have to resign in return. A few months later, in November of last year, the finance minister was fired after 6 years at his post.
They weren't discussing a criminal endeavor, as some people have said. They were discussing the way the National Bank and the government could tackle a possible financial crisis together.
And among these possible joint actions were the measures that the central bank could take to boost the economy. But faced with this new revelation, the conservative opposition has demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Still, with a slight majority in parliament, the ruling coalition would probably endure a no-confidence vote, though voter dissatisfaction is growing.
At first sight, I don't see anything in these recordings that shouldn't warrant sanctions against the Minister Sienkiewicz, or that would require me to step down.
An anonymous senior official was quoted in a major Polish paper as suggesting that this whole scandal could be the work of Russian Secret Service, with the objective of destabilizing Poland, a former Soviet state, amid the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. The central bank says Belka's comments were taken out of context on the recording.
We're joined now by Israeli entrepreneur and businessman Amir Bramley, chairman and CEO of Rubicon Business Group, for a discussion on entrepreneurship in the 21st century. Mr. Bramley, thanks for joining us. I understand you're involved with risk management and a variety of different financial concerns. What exactly does Rubicon, the company that you head, do?
Well, Rubicon is a kind of investment and entrepreneur group which supports small and medium businesses and invest on those businesses, not only straight financial, but also we are investing smart money, which means we are supporting with the headquarters that provide all the companies and entrepreneur with the support of marketing and accounting and economical management.
What are the main markets that you're involved with?
Well, part of our risk management strategy is to have a widespread. We have businesses in software, we have businesses of recycling, we have businesses of financial and financing businesses in any kind of scale. We have real estate, and these trades actually support the stability of the group.
You're also involved with the TV industry, aren't you?
Also with the TV industry. Recently, we just founded a new fund, TV format fund, which will invest in a small or not small in the early stages of formats, television formats.
Can you just explain what TV formats is? Because your average viewer might not know that, right?
Actually, maybe we are now in kind of a format, and every format, every show in a company, or most of the shows that we have is kind of a format, and the TV economy based on the fact that you are selling the format.
Right.
And you have many ideas. We know many kinds of them from...
For example, like?
American Idol.
Okay, or like Big Brother, for example.
Or Big Brother.
No, I mean, I understand how these are very safe investment for, for TV companies worldwide, for broadcasters worldwide, but doesn't it somewhat limit creativity?
Well, actually what we found when we analyzed this market, that it's much safer from the financial point of view, as whoever invests in it out of the industry is very limited, and actually he's limiting itself, because if I'm a broadcaster or I'm a producer, I will invest and will broadcast it only on my channels. But once I, and as a group, Rubicon will invest it, or TV fund will invest on this format, we are open for the world. Any channel can broadcast us, any producer can produce us, any distributor can distribute us, and attached to this we attach financial model that allow us to gain much higher IRR or ROI on the investment. So not only that the group and ourselves profit out of it, also the investor that joining us, and in addition the creator as well. There is a lack, the big broadcaster and the TV companies sometimes, I don't want to call it taking advantage of those creators, but they have advantage. They have the capital and the money, and the offer that is on the table of the creator not always good enough for him. And we are actually balancing it, but very stable, very fair fair actually to the investor, and in this way he have much greater opportunity to actually make some money.
So going beyond TV formats now, considering that you're involved in a variety of different markets, I mean, looking at entrepreneurship in the 21st century, or the 20-teens, if you want to call it that, you see a variety of companies, big concerns that once upon a time were known for one particular brand, one particular niche market, and everybody's sort of, expanding out and doing different things. I mean, Nestle is involved in these, in the healthcare market, so to speak, to some extent, and Amazon maybe, announcing a smartphone. What do you say about that? What does it take to be an entrepreneur in this era?
Well, it's globalization. Entrepreneur will always, or almost always, will be in one field, but the big companies will not invest anymore in the in the developing of small brands or new patents. What they will do, they will prefer to purchase a new existing product, but they need to deal with everything. We are under globalization of any market. It's medicine and recycling, ecology, economy, everything. So you talked about smartphone. We have smartphone. Many companies launched a smartphone. What can be, what competition can be a new company? So you always need to invent the new generation.
The problem just is that you're taking more risk, right? I mean, Facebook's, venture into that market was not exactly so successful. What do you think Amazon's situation would be in that sense?
Well, I don't know. If they will not come out with a significant improvement, I think that penetration will be very hard for them. It's not obvious, and sometimes the big company fail to think like this. We even we saw in the past Google trying to penetrate other market of the social market, and they didn't have the same success of Facebook. So they are not always facing good opportunities, but they will step into this market as sometimes their competitor have this advantage. But I don't know about Amazon. They need significant improvement in order to get into and penetrate the market. Other way, I'm a little bit skeptic.
Any last comments before we go on?
No, you can go on. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramley, for joining us on the show.
Benjamin. Thank you very much.
A new group of clinics on Indonesia's main island of Java are treating patients for free in exchange for garbage. This highly innovative approach broadens access to healthcare not just for Java's poorest, but also for its working class, whose $50 a month salary is insufficient for regular consultations. Let's take a look.
Mahmoud no longer throws out his rubbish. Instead, he uses it to pay for healthcare. Patients at this clinic on the Indonesian island of Java can come for 2 visits each month, as long as they collect nearly $1 worth of recyclable garbage.
I know I can sell my trash here, so I collect it. Before, I used to throw everything in the street. But now I started to realize that my rubbish could be useful.
The system provides a form of medical insurance in a country where 11% of the population live below the poverty line. Free public healthcare does exist in Indonesia, but critics say it's underfunded and getting access is bureaucratic and complicated. Many end up paying much of their monthly salary for a simple consultation.
Our patients are working or middle class. They earn about $50 a month, so for ailments like diabetes or high blood pressure, than in regular consultations, it's far too expensive for their salaries.
Gamal Albin Said came up with the project idea after hearing about the daughter of a rubbish collector who died after contracting diarrhea. Her family couldn't afford treatment. Britain's Prince Charles even awarded him a Young Sustainability Entrepreneur Prize.
I take a lot of garbage from all of community, but just 10 until 15% people use the health access. So that project is profitable and sustainable.
That leaves enough money to develop the project. There are now 5 clinics up and running, and he plans to expand the scheme to 3 other cities. One added benefit: the scheme has created an army of cleaners to clear the streets of garbage.
And that's it for us today. And stay tuned for tomorrow. We have various stories related to the Middle East. One from Tunisia concerning the tourism industry that they're trying to rebuild in the wake of the crisis of the Arab Spring. The other one from Iraq, an ongoing story, unfortunately, where we see more and more oil fields being taken over, and of course the effects that may have for the price of oil worldwide. Thank you very much for watching again. I'm Benjamin Changalfires, your daily source for economic and financial reports at ITV News. Follow me on Twitter and send us your comments and feedback.